We are talking about ratios today. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that.
Thick name.
Ratios. Okay, they are kind of like fractions. A fraction is like a ratio where you compare something to the whole. So if I said the ratio of, I'm not going to take the time to count. Let's pretend I knew that the ratio, it looks like there's a little more guys in the room. Let's say the ratio of the guys to girls in the room was 16 to 12. I'm not sure, but somewhere around there, right? So this is one way to write it. What's another, you guys remember what's another way to write a ratio?
16 to 12?
16 to 12, and then there's one more way to write it.
16 divided by 12?
16 over 12, okay. So, but you would say them all the same way. 16 to 12, 16 to 12, 16 to 12. Just like fractions, you can reduce, and you have to reduce, you need to reduce ratios. So what can both of these be divided by?
6?
No?
No,
4. And like all your calculators, if you plug it in your calculator, it might change it to a mixed number, which you do not want to do, by the way. Ratios are not mixed numbers. You're comparing two different things, like boys to girls or something like that. Actually, it's possible to have a ratio with more than two things even. But 16 boys, if I divide by 4, I get the ratio is 4 to 3. Basically means for every 4 boys, there's 3 girls, or for every 3 girls, there's 4 boys. A fraction is like a ratio, but it compares a group to the total instead of just two different groups. So, like the fraction in this class that are boys is 16 to 28. Okay, so it's like boys to total in the class. So fractions are like ratios. They're a kind of ratio, but they just compare out of the total. All right. So does the order matter? Yes. If they say boys to girls, you need to say 4 to 3. If they say what's the ratio of girls to boys, it's 3 to 4. Okay, so whatever order they say it in is the order you have to write it in. So yeah, you can get it wrong if you put it in the wrong order. Like number 1 says, what's the ratio of A's to B's? So you need to put the A's in front, for example. What's a common ratio? Let's see here. Let me think. Let's say at the football game, we scored 2 to 1 compared to the other team. If the other team scored 12 points, how many points did we score? 24. So here's how you would write that. This is called a proportion. 2 to 1 equals how many to 12? When you have two equal ratios, it's called a proportion. You guys have seen this before, right? So we scored 2 to every 1 point of the other team. That's the ratio. So if they scored 12, why did I put 12 on the bottom here?
Because that's the other team.
Because the 1 is talking about the other team, so that if the 12 goes with the other team, it should go across from that. So X represents our team score, and it should go across from the 2. The ratio of our score to their score was 2 to 1. We doubled their score, basically. Okay, but what if it's really, like, kind of tricky, like 3 to 2? How do we figure out? Yeah.
How many times did it take 2 to get to 12? Then it'd be like 6, it'd be 3 times 6.
Cross
Or you could
multiply?
cross cancel.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes they come out as messy decimals. Yeah, so the method we're going to use is cross multiply. Yes. Okay, it's not always gonna work pretty, like this might be a 13, so you can't just say this is times 6 and this times, you kinda can, but it's not gonna be easy on all these, so we need to use cross multiply, is what I'm saying. You guys remember doing this? So, here's where you do not use cross multiply. Okay, you do not cross multiply this. No, that's wrong. Okay, you can cross cancel sometimes, but you can't cross multiply. It's on equations and proportions when you have two equal ratios or fractions. This is when you cross multiply. What's 2 times x?
2x.
What's 3 times 12?
36.
Okay, so all you do is 2x equals 36. It's an ugly 3. You divide by 2, a little bit of algebra, and you get x is 18. Okay, they do get a little bit harder, but I'll do the odds with you, so we'll figure it out. I don't know, you might have done all this stuff before, possibly. Okay, number 1, it says on a recent homework assignment, 8 students got an A. I'm going to write these down. 8 got an A, 10 got a B, and 6 got a C. No D's or F's. No. Just toss them back there. She can see. Okay, so the ratio is, by the way, the directions say write the following ratio in lowest terms, so we have to reduce, using the word to, T-O. So number 1, the ratio of A's to B's. What's the ratio of A's to B's?
8 to 10.
8 to 10. But does that reduce? Yeah, if they're both even, that means they're divisible by 2. So what should we reduce them to? 4 to 5. So that is the answer. Number 3, the ratio of A's to students in the class. They didn't tell us how many students were in the class, so how do we figure that out? Yeah, it's these 3 groups added together. So 8 plus 6, 14 plus 10, 24 students in the class. So the ratio of A's 8 to total 24. What can I divide both of those by?
8.
8. So if you're not good at reducing, if you put this in the calculator as a fraction, it should spit out 1 to 3. The problem is, if the big number comes first, your calculator will probably spit out a mixed number. That is not a ratio. So for example, if it was like 20 to 6, and you plug that in your calculator would probably say like 3 1/3, which is not a ratio. It should be divide by 2, 10 over 3. I guess you could plug it in upside down and then just flip it back again. Anyway, yeah, divide by 8. So divide by 8 is 1, 2, 3. Okay, unit rate. These are easy to do if you remember what it means. Okay, unit rate we use all the time. It's finding the ratio of how many of these can we get for one of these. So it's turning any ratio into something to one. So for example, when you buy gas, on the sign it says it costs, $3. I don't know what's that right now. $3 and some cents per 1 gallon, right? Or have you guys gone to like Walmart or some store and they say the price, and then right next to it they say the unit price? Maybe you never looked at it because you don't shop. But the unit price is how much this costs per ounce. Because you might have a big box of cereal and it costs like $4, and a little box of cereal costs $3. See which one the better deal is, you look at the unit price. So one of them might say 15.2 cents per ounce. This one says 18.3 cents per ounce. So that's a kind of unit price. Or your car gets 30 miles to the gallon. That's a unit price. So as an example, if you drove your car 150 miles, and you used 5 gallons. Okay, how would we change this to the unit price? Basically, you just divide by, you want this to be a 1. So how do we turn this into a 1? Divide by 5, right? You just divide by this number. So you get 30 miles to 1 gallon. So you just divide the second number. Okay? So on number 5, somebody scored 85 points in 5. Guys, stop talking and listen. 85 points in 5 games. So how do we find the unit price? Or unit rate, I should say. Divide by 5. 85 divided by 5, I think that's 17 points. The book probably writes the answer something like this. 17 points a game. Okay, statistics, yeah, that's used a lot. If you play baseball, anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. Number 7, $370 for, what was it, 40 hours of work? So what would this unit rate tell us? Tell us how many dollars are you getting paid for 1 hour? This would be your hourly wage. So divide by 40, somebody plug that in.
340?
Yeah.
9.25.
Okay, so you're getting $9.25 per hour. You could say per 1 hour. Okay, did you guys notice we're skipping the next section up there? We're jumping to 13. So we're doing 5 over 4 equals 70 over x. Who can tell me, how do we solve this? Okay, Jesse?
Cross multiply. So 4 times 70, 280 equals 5x. You divide both sides by 5.
Okay. 4 times 70 is 280. Use your calculator. Equals 5x. So we have to divide by 5. Has anybody done that yet?
56.
56. I do want to see some work. If you just show the cross multiply thing, that's fine. You don't have to necessarily copy the problem down, but if you just show like 280 equals 5x, that's good enough. So on 5th, I kind of started with Jesse yesterday, I think. Hey, let's do Corbin. Corbin, what would it set up to for number 15?
So you would like cross, so it would be 5 times 1800.
Yep.
It would be
Equals 9z. You could do this kind of easy without a calculator. Well, a little bit easy. If we divide by 9, 1800 divided by 9 is 200. 200 times 5 is 1,000. Did I just like reduce the fraction here? Since this is all multiplied together on the top, that's like 1 term. Number 17. All right, Jonathan, what can we do on? How would it set up on 17?
So you do 7 times 2, and that's 14, and it equals 16b.
Okay, this is one of those messy ones, right? The book put both a decimal and a fraction. You guys can kind of choose, I guess. So, go ahead, Jonathan. What we do?
Divide by 16.
Divide by 16.
7 over 8.
Yeah, 14 sixteenths doesn't reduce, but if you divide by, or doesn't simplify perfectly, but if you reduce by dividing by 2, you get 7 over 8, yeah. It's like 0.875. We'll just leave it like that.
You gotta do a fraction or decimal.
Well, you can choose. I would just do fraction though. They did write it both ways. Because when you do fractions, you don't actually have to divide it, you know what I'm saying? All right, number 19. Okay, we're in the B section. So I haven't really talked about all these yet. Maybe we can figure it out. On 19, I do notice, you don't have to notice this, but this fraction on the right does reduce. You could reduce that before you cross multiplied, but you don't have to. It should work either way. Mallory, what should we do? So what would we multiply?
5 to 36 and
So 5 times 36 equals, what's 2w times 45? 90w. 45 times 2 is 90 times w. Okay. That's 180. So 180 divided by 90. Is 2. $21. All right, this is the first time we've seen this one. Well, this year at least. All right. Wyatt, any ideas?
Would you add one?
No, I would not add 1. No. Well, what have we been doing so far? Cross multiply. Yeah, you can't just add 1 to both sides because this 1 is not really just worth 1. It's worth more like 1/18. And that's a mess. So we just want to start by cross multiplying. Okay. Well, this one's kind of straightforward. It's 12 times 18 equals, how do I do 27 times d minus 1? Any ideas? Right. It's not 27 times 1, it's 27 times d minus 1. So if I wrote it out, it would look like this. So yeah, it is distributive property. So 12 times 18, let's see, what's that? 180 plus 36, 216 equals 27d minus 27.
Add 27.
Yeah, add 27. You guys think you did these last year?
Yeah.
Think you did? I think this is going to divide well.
Yes.
What did it come out to? Is it 9? All right. 43. N plus 1, 15 to minus 12. All right, Hank, what will this become?
You do 15 times n minus 1, and it'd be 12 times n plus 1, which would be 15n minus 15 equals 12n plus 15. And then you could subtract 12n on both sides. It would be 3n minus 15 equals 12. And then you do add 15, and that'd be 27. You divide by 3, and that'd be 9.
Yeah. After the first couple steps, it turns into a normal problem. N equals 9. Yeah, they're not all gonna be as hard as yesterday. Don't you like a challenge every once in a while? No. All right, Luke.
You would do 7 times 7 minus 2q, and then 14 times 4 plus 1.
Just remember when you cross multiply, those two things are equal to each other. When you cross multiply, some people forget that part and get lost. Okay, so then what do we do, Luke?
7 times 7, 49.
Okay, distributive property. Okay, so now it's kind of like last chapter, right? At this point, what, Luke? What should we do now?
Minus q6q
Yeah, let's go the other way. What's the other
plus
option?
14q.
Plus 14q. A lot of times when you guys do negatives, you forget the negative. I don't know how many. I was kind of nice. I only took like 1 point off for that, but I don't know how many of those I marked off on the test. Like in the problem, you have like negative 20 divided by 4, and you put 5 or something like that. Happens a lot. Anyway, so if we can avoid the negative, it's probably for the best. Oh, this is one that people like to get wrong.
Divide by
A lot-
70.
Yeah, a lot of people would put 2 as the answer to this. You guys know why it's not 2? Because it's not 70 divided by 35. It's to get q by itself, we're dividing by 70. So it's 35 divided by 70.
And it's 0.5.
Yeah, it's 1/2. Or you got 0.5, it's fine. A lot of people would say, oh, 35 goes into 70 twice, but yeah, we're not going 35 into 70, we're going 70 into 35. All right. We're in the last section. Yeah. Oh, 26. I'm glad I saw that. There's a negative on the 1/3. What should we do about that? Well, I wouldn't get rid of it. Does that mean both the 1 and the 3 are negative? No. If you make 1 and 3 negative,
The whole thing is negative.
that actually would make this positive. So what you need to do, so yeah, these two are not equal. What I would do is I just put the negative on the top or the bottom. I'd probably put it on the top. So just think of that as -1/3. So when you cross multiply, just multiply the bottom by -1. That would fix it. Don't use that. Okay, 27 said find the unit rate. Do you guys remember what the unit rate was the second time we did it? The unit rate is how many of these we can get for one of the other. So we're trying to change the ratio into something to 1. So it says we can buy a package of 12 rolls of paper towels for $16. So the question, we don't want to divide by 16. you want to ask how much are we paying for one roll? Not Matt. Not you wouldn't ask how many rolls can we get for $1. That doesn't make as much sense because you can't buy a partial roll. But the question is, one roll would cost how many dollars? So it's $16 for 12 rolls. So what do we need to do? Divide that 12. Okay, we want the 12 rolls to turn into one roll. So we're dividing by 12. 16 divided by 12 does not come out pretty, but we're talking about money, so we don't really want a fraction here. What's 16 divided by 12?
1.3.
1.3333 repeating, so what should I put if we're talking about money?
3.
Yeah, money goes to the hundredths place, the 1 cent place, right? So it should look like that. So it's like $1.33 per, what's the rule? Roll.
Why is it divided by 12 again?
Huh?
Why is it divided by 12?
Okay, because you wouldn't ask how many rolls can I get for $1. You're gonna ask how much money would one roll cost? So it doesn't make, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of these are backwards, unlike the other page. Same thing on 28. You do the 38.15 divided by 20. 29 says buying a $36 shirt and getting a second shirt of equal or lesser value for free. So really, how many shirts are we getting for $36? 2. So it's $36 for 2 shirts. What do we probably want to know? How much are we paying for 1 shirt?
16.
So just divide by 2. It's not 16. It is $18 per shirt. Okay, let's talk about 30 also. How far did I say 32? Okay, 30 says buying a $30 shirt, getting a second. No, that's the same thing. Yeah, it says 50% off. Kind of the same thing. You're getting a second shirt, but it's 50% off. So if the first shirt costs $30 and the second is 50% off, how much are you paying for the second shirt? 15. So how much did we pay in total?
Like
45 bucks. Whoops. For how many shirts? For 2 shirts. You guys get it? Paid 30 for the first shirt plus 15, half of that for the second shirt. So altogether you paid, it's not the answer by the way. Paid 45 for 2 shirts. The question is, how much did you pay per shirt? Okay. 30. Huh?
Did you divide 45 and 2?
Yeah. 31. We're almost done here. Jeremy got $76 for working 8 hours. Okay, that's the ratio. $76 for 8 hours. How much will he earn if he works 20 hours? Okay, this is where you would use a proportion. How much will he earn, that's our X, if he works 20 hours? Okay, you guys see how that works? You got $76 for 8 hours. So that would be like getting how many dollars for 20 hours? Does that make sense? Because he's going to get paid the same hourly rate. So it's a proportion. You have to cross multiply. So it's 8x equals 76 times 20. Is that 15? Okay, 32 is kind of the same thing. Ashima drove 348 miles, 6 hours. So, at that rate, how long will it take her to drive 145 miles? So the 145 should go across from the 348 because they're the miles. The 6 hours should go across from the X hours. And then you cross multiply. Alright, that's it.